as we do every Thursday before home games, we get to talk to former Giants Super Bowl champion and quarterback Phil Simms in the Simms Spotlight, presented by Bigelow Tea. Grab your mug and tea proudly. Phil, you got John Schmelk and Paul Dottino here in New Jersey. How are you today?
Excuse me. I am doing very well, guys. Good to talk to you. And, yes, good to hear the name Bigelow Tea, of course. I don't drink a lot of tea. I drink too much tea.
Well, T, I got to tell
you. I turn a lot of people onto it, so it's great. And, look, great to talk to you guys. And it's kind of good for me to do this. I like doing it, of course, talking to you guys. But quite honestly, in what I do for a living, the Giants are usually not part of it. We cover mostly AFC and all that, so we don't get a chance to cover the Giants a lot. And so now, I watch their games every week, and it's just been great to be part of watching the Giants, and of course, watching games on TV more than ever. Tampa Bay, and just, man, I didn't pick anything up and throw it, but wow, it was there, whatever. So it didn't happen, but it's just great to be a fan too.
Yeah, Phil, no question about it. And we are entering prime tea season, by the way, with the rainy weather, the cold outside. This is like prime tea season for the folks out there at Bigelow.
You got it. All right.
No question. So, all right, where have you seen the most improvement, Phil, over the last couple of weeks? You mentioned the close loss to Tampa. We haven't talked to you since that game, and then they go out, beat Washington for the second time for the second win of the year. Where have you seen the most improvement from this Giants team the last couple of weeks?
Well, I think that, every week it progresses, and I say that as being very objective, that the offensive line, just running the football last week, like I had to keep watching, wait. This is a pretty good defensive front they were going against, and I thought the Giants, of course, we all know that. They ran the ball well. They were consistent. The reverse. I always learned, and I'm sure Jason Garrett ran a reverse early in the game because he worked under Norv Turner as a player, and Norv Turner says anytime you go on the road and you think the other team's emotional, do something to get them early. In other words, because they're going to overplay, hustle, we're all emotional, reverses, screens, or even a trick play, things like that. But that, and just once again, I think the defense is just showing that the coaching, the talent is starting to show more and more. But they did some things defensively that were impressive and kept the Washington football team a little bit off balance.
Phil, I'm a little curious as to what you would do with the running back situation. They've averaged 140 yards a game on the ground over the past 4 weeks. And now they've got a decision to make because Alfred Morris is on the practice squad. If you bring him up a third time, he has to be on the 53. So they've got a roster quandary there, given that Devontae Freeman is supposed to be practicing in full today coming off of a sprained ankle. So how would you deal with the running backs, knowing also that Gallman looked very good last week?
Yeah, that's a great point, Paul. I don't know. I can't look at that roster like you guys can and decide. I know this. Alfred Morris looked good, and he's big. He made it look easy. Good decision maker, patient, powerful, all that. So that's one of those things you say, we got a good problem here. And how they decide to work it out, I really can't give you an answer, but it's a good problem to have. I thought Alfred Morris was, I was just really impressed. And Wayne Gallman has really got the hang of it. I guess it's like anything. You need repetitions at doing something to get better at it. Practice, whatever, that's great. But you have to do it in the game to get those repetitions. And the Giant run game is starting to show that. It's great. And, I know what we're all thinking, at least I do. Okay, now Saquon Barkley was there. Okay, and then we had these runs here. What would have happened? And, of course, you think nothing but something beyond what we've seen. But really good by the Giants' offensive line. And once again, the defense, here's what I love. It's like an epidemic in the NFL right now. I'm watching the Miami Dolphins and the Arizona Cardinals. Let me tell you what, the Miami Dolphins, they are intimidating as heck on defense because they just line up more people than you can block almost every play. And they're just daring you, whatever. But the Giants did it last week too. It's if you're an offense And, I'm not a coach, so the answer might be easier to not look at it. But everybody now is lining up a bunch of people that you can block at the line of scrimmage. And a lot of times it's just a four-man rush. But the problem is, which four is it?
Yeah.
And it's confusing teams right and left, all the good teams. I saw, last week the Carolina Panthers do it against the Kansas City Chiefs, who, they've seen it all. And they had free runners. And it's just it's an interesting aspect of the NFL. It's another trend, but it's really cool. And I'm glad I didn't see it when I was playing. Because, there's got to be some keys to it. And I've tried to figure out the keys. I kind of got an idea how Miami is doing it because they got that from New England, and I studied them so much that I knew what they were doing. It's very complicated, to be honest. And it's making life tough for quarterbacks, offensive linemen especially, because there's the slightest hesitation by an offensive lineman goes from having a perfect pass block to the guy getting the edge on you and hitting the quarterback. So it's something I noticed. I thought the Giants did it well last week. And once again, the offense showed a little more diversity. And everything was in a great spot, and that's why the Giants won.
You know what, though, Phil? Bill just would have said, Sims, come on, just run the play.
Yeah. Well, you're too kind. He wouldn't have said it exactly like that. But, no. The one thing with Bill, he was super, super meticulous about certain things. Clock management, doing everything, having the right number of people on the field. The Jets. Not to get on the Jets, I'm not. And I say this publicly, and I said it on TV, and I'm going to say it this Sunday if I get a chance. The end of the game, they got lucky, 12 men for the field goal. That can't happen. Bill Parcells had a great quote once. I said, why are we sitting down here on a Saturday for an hour just going over who's going to go in if L5 gets hurt and all this? He goes, and he ripped me. He goes, Sims, these owners can do two things. And I'm like, okay, what? He goes, they can see if the stands are full, and they can count to 11. You got me? And I go,
I love it.
Really good point. But the clock management by the Jets offense at the end of the game, not to get in the Jets, I don't care. We're not talking about them, but it was awful, and that's why they lost the game.
Phil, I don't want to get too deep into the weeds here, but you mentioned kind of bringing all those guys at the line of scrimmage. One thing that I've seen a lot from teams this year, and we saw the Giants do it, is that they'll line up those two inside linebackers kind of in that A-gap. And then, and so the quarterback thinks something's coming up the middle. The running back in pass pro thinks something's coming up the middle. Then those guys at the snap will release into zone. Oh, but here comes the slot corner or the safety off the edge. As a quarterback, how do you make sure you have?
I know the play you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know the play you're talking about, and it was clever, and that was just well done. Daniel Jones. I forgot what he did with the ball. He was lucky, right? Did he get rid of it? Or on the play you're talking about with the slot defender came?
No, you know what? No, I think that was the play where he got hit blindsided, but he managed to hold on to it with the one hand. That's right.
You're right.
Safety,
you're right.
The safety came, Curl, the rookie, plastered him.
Yes, off the slot. Yeah, so that's, you know what? I remember thinking, I didn't write it in my notes, just went, wow, flying through the air, and he found a way to hold on to the ball. I know that feeling. And you just get done, you go, I didn't fumble. That was good. Because when you get blindsided in the NFL as a quarterback, the football usually is going to come out because this means it's going to be a solid, forceful hit. You're not expecting, even if you have two hands on the ball, it usually does come out. So that was a great job by Daniel Jones hanging on to it. But that's the new direction. I think more and more we're going to see it just cause it's like offenses. It's shifting. We got the speed motion. We got this. We got 5 wide receivers, just everything. It's all just trying to give yourself a little edge. And now we see the defenses going, okay, we can do this too. And it's really it's a factor. And I've just watched a quarter of the Miami Dolphins playing Arizona so far, and I've seen 6 free guys full speed running at Kyler Murray. They got him for the strip sack fumble one time, touchdown, and a couple times Kyler Murray is unbelievable. He just outran the guy and got away from it. But it's something to look for that you'll see, I think, by more and more teams as we go along.
Phil, I want to ask you about the quarterback ball security issue for a second, because in recent years, and I guess Peyton Manning might have been one of the early guys to do this, to wear that glove, the ticky-tack glove that has been so much improved over the years on his left hand, and then even Eli started doing it his last couple of years, and he said it helped him grip the ball better and hold on to it better in the pocket. We haven't seen Daniel Jones try the glove. What is your opinion on quarterbacks using the left-handed glove?
Well, if that's why you do it and it works, it's a great thing. I don't know if I could have done it just because one hand would feel so much different from the other as I put my two hands on the ball to throw it. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud that it probably would bother me a little bit. And listen, Daniel Jones not having a turnover last week was huge. Huge for the perception of Daniel Jones, for his confidence, and now maybe he can go 3, 4, 5 games without any turnovers, which would be great. And that's what happens. I got in turnover binges many times in my career, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I just go, man, it was all I was thinking about during the game. I'm going to play this so damn careful and be so whatever to make sure I don't get a turnover. And I told you, what was after the game, the first question? Well, you didn't turn it over, Phil. That's right. And we also won, if you just want to know, my man.
Right.
And I can remember the reporter who said it to me. His name was Dave Klein, I think.
That sounds about right.
Oh, man, okay.
That sounds about right. Phil, it's funny. You mentioned his ball protection, Phil, and I don't think enough people have talked about this. To me, and look, Jones did have the 2 fumbles. He recovered one of them. But to me, a big reason why maybe he was a little bit more careful with the football, especially on his throws, the Giants played with the lead. I mean, when you're up 20-3, it's a lot easier to take a sack or throw a ball away because the quarterback's not feeling that pressure that, oh, man, it's a tie game in the 4th. Oh, man, we're down a score or 2. I need to make a play here. When you can get a lead like that, doesn't it make it a little bit easier on the quarterback to be a little bit more conservative with the ball?
Well, it should, and he should be thinking about that. He should be told that by probably the head coach, the coordinator, and quarterback coach. Hey, man, look, we're up. What was the biggest lead? Was it 23-3?
20-3 at halftime.
17.
20-3. Okay. Well, we're up, so let's be smart. So you and as he gets older, he won't have to be told that. It's about managing the game and knowing everything about it, and a lot of times managing it is because you're taught a certain way, and it's not easy, but to make mistakes and egregious mistakes like you're talking about when you have a big lead, really that's uncalled for, and you're going to take a lot of heat from it, and deservedly so. And I know all these things as I talk about it because I did it, and I did, and but as my career went along, I will admit I really became very cognizant of situations. Like Ray Perkins once told me, and I never forgot it my whole career, when you're between the 40s, don't worry about it. Hang on to the ball, move, do whatever you got to, and don't worry if you take a sack. Because we're going to punt. It's not going to really affect the punt. We're still going to get it where we want it. And I just went, wow, that's a great thought. So, it's 3rd and 8 from your own 45. You take a sack, big deal. We're still going to punt it inside the 15 or 10-yard line easily. So things like that are, you learn over time, and if you keep emphasizing them, it becomes part of who the quarterback is, that's for sure.
Yeah, Phil, I want to follow up with a fan question because this one came in from A.J. Marshall, and it is related to what we were just talking about. And I feel you probably don't like this word, and I always like to get you out on one of your tangents. It's fun.
I won't go into a rant. Go ahead.
Do you consider Daniel Jones to be a game manager or something more than that?
I don't have to think about it. But first off, let's put this game manager in. Yeah, I want him to be a game manager. We just talked about it. It's part of the job. Drew Lock in Denver. I talked about him earlier today, and I just said he's got to understand the whole scope of the game a little more because to him, he can't see a 50-yard throw that he doesn't want to try. When the guy is open for 10 yards underneath, and we're going to take a shot because that's so manage the game and wait for it to come to you. But Daniel Jones, no. His running, again, as many times I've said it, that he does have what I call a really good NFL arm. I think he's very accurate. I will complain about one thing as I've noticed over the weeks, but just something. don't drift when you throw. Plant that damn foot and throw it and show off what you really got. And again, through time, he's probably gotten into a few habits that you'd want to break because he's been under pressure. And, there's too much surrounding him, especially early in the year. It's getting better. So, it's retrain yourself to stand there and step and do all the things you do and go at that target and drive the ball even more. And what will that do? It lets you throw it into tighter spots. It's now the ball has a little more speed on it, where it gets past defenders, gives the receiver just a split second more of time to move with it once they catch it. I talk to receivers all the time. I talk to Brandon Marshall on Inside the NFL. Brandon, do you want a quarterback who, that throws this way, or do you want the guy that can really rip it and put it? You go, oh, man, look, Phil, you can't get the ball in your hand fast enough. And I said, that's what I thought, So there is a big difference, and it means something to these receivers. And he drifts sometimes when he throws, when he doesn't have to, because he's done it so much. He's good at it, but I would like to see him stand there and just really let it go.
Another fan, Lisa, on Twitter, Phil, wants to know, as a longtime Giants fan, says it's discouraging to see the team play competitively yet not be able to win close games. What do you think the Giants can do to turn it around? Now, I preface this by also saying they won a close game last weekend against Washington with a couple of late interceptions. And, of course, Philadelphia stole a win from the Giants down at the Link a month ago, yet the Eagles are going to be much healthier for this game this weekend.
Yes. I would say as a Giant fan, and I do mean this too, of course, be encouraged. Man, the signs are all pointing upwards. They really are. And I see certain players, I'm watching Leonard Williams, I'm not going to lie. Oh, man, what are they doing getting Leonard Williams? Oh, you're paying him. But, man, his effort, it looks awesome. He's got the body that kind of, nimble, flexible body to be a good pass rusher and run stopper. He's a disruptor, things like that. But it's like the Miami Dolphins last year. I said it after 6 weeks. They're going to win games, and I love what they're doing. They disassembled the team, got draft picks, got money, and now look where they are. And I think they have a chance to win the AFC East. So,
and by the way, Phil, Phil, by the way, they have 1 million draft picks this year too to get even better, which is really more impressive.
I know. Yeah, they got. I think they have 2 1s, 2 2s, 3, 4, 5, 2 6s. I did all this already, looking at them, just going, oh my gosh. But you know what they did? They gave themselves money, and they went out and they absolutely knocked it dead in free agency. They did not miss. Kyle Van Noy, Elandon Roberts, guys he knew. Byron Jones, the corner from Dallas, who never played like this in Dallas that he's playing now because he's being taught differently. Shaq Lawson, he was okay in Buffalo, but he wasn't great. Now he looks like a damn superstar. And another guy, Emmanuel, I'm just going over a list yesterday and going, my gosh, they hit on everything. And that's really what it kind of takes. But the Giants absolutely are trending up. I love the way they, are showing they're not making those big mistakes mentally. Physically is a different thing. But the defense is playing. It's hustling, very disciplined, everything you'd want to see. So instead of looking at it, we could have won a few more games, it's not about winning 5 games, 4 games, or 6 games this year, whatever it is. It's about really building some confidence, building the talent, the system, and then really next year you want to see those results if you're a fan.
Final question, Phil. I got to ask you about the Philly game this weekend. Paul mentioned it. They're much healthier. I imagine as a quarterback, You watch Carson Wentz, you must want to just plant your face into the wall sometimes with some of the crazy stuff that he tries. But your thoughts on Giants and Eagles on Sunday?
Well, you said it. Carson Wentz, never seen a play that he doesn't want to take to the end of the earth, that's for sure. And he was truly like he was great, I thought, against the Giants. I thought he made, when down there in Philadelphia, he made 6 or 7 just big-time throws that, the defenders, they had to go, are you kidding me? I mean, there was a window so tight, but whatever. But he did play out of control through an unbelievably horrendous interception. He takes sacks when it's just, He shouldn't. I think he is. He will. He's coming out of that. I think you'll see a different quarterback this weekend from them. And look, I think the Eagles are a sneaky, really good team for sure. I think you guys know that too. When they line up, they are what Dave Gettleman wants. I mean, they're monsters. I mean, monsters. When they have everybody healthy, their front seven and their offensive line it's what you want to see in an NFL team. For all we say and all we talk, the quarterback. Man, it's about the most powerful and most physical team wins football games. They give all the other guys the chances to be the superstars. We don't pay attention enough to the big guys. And the Eagles, they have that. And they got a little attitude too. So it's going to be a really tough contest for the New York Giants. This is definitely a step up from what they played this past weekend.
Phil, really appreciate the time as always. Great insight, great stuff. We got the bye next week. We'll enjoy that, and we'll talk to you in a couple weeks when the Giants are back in action.
Thanks, Phil.
Okay, very good. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on. Good stuff. And, I get a little nervous talking to you guys because you know every little single thing about the New York Giants. I'm watching it from a different perspective. So the fact that you're calling up plays, I go, I know that play. Whatever. So it's kind of fun. Keeps me on my toes, and it's just great to talk to you. So have a good day.
Hey, you too, Phil. Thank you so much.
Okay, guys.
And the beauty thing about talking to Phil, by the way, is that we know he watches all the film, so we don't feel scared about asking him about specific plays and stuff like that. No, we don't. And by the way, it's funny. I was just asking in general because I've seen other teams do that too, Paul. I've seen the Giants do that. I think they got one of their. I think they got one of their DB sacks when they did that double mug and they pulled the linebackers back and they brought the DB. And I really wasn't even asking about the specific play. I just wanted to know how a quarterback kind of deals with setting up protection in a situation like that. And he brought it back to the Jones play. So having Phil on is great. And by the way, I should mention that the Sim Spotlight was presented by Bigelow Tea. Grab a mug and tea proudly.